episode 99 and a half. Today, we're going to talk about why real estate coaches suck. We're going to get started right now.
Get them out of here.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
Episode 99 and a half. And the reason why this is the half is because last week's show was an entire shit show.
Sorry about that, guys. We got new software this week. We went all out. Jesse, our awesome man behind the man, spent all week figuring out our technical difficulties. We're gonna have Toby back on from last week because that guy is awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, that was not good.
So today, look, we're going to talk about why we really disliked real estate coaches. But before we get started, this is your first time listening, please go ahead, go over to our Facebook real estate group, the only real estate group worth being a part of. Go ahead and request access there, as well as leave us a review on iTunes, 5 stars only, please. And then today's show is brought to you by Sphere Rocket. Look, if you're looking to leverage your business, but you don't think you can afford a full-time operations director, an admin, staff member, whatever you call it, right? If you don't think you can afford a full-time person, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Absolutely wrong, right? So go connect with Justin Nelson over at Sphere Rocket. Connect with one of his virtual assistants. We're looking at $3 to $5 an hour, right? And these people, these VAs can do anything and everything other than they can't be physically in your office.
You don't know. It's only a plane ticket away.
For $3 an hour.
Depends on what you have them doing.
Yes. So go to sphererocketva.com or connect with Justin Nelson. We will drop his information here in the comments below. But today, look, we want to talk about real estate coaching, right? If we were to make a post in the only real estate group,
Hey, how are you guys? Nick just jumps into the. Are you guys doing well?
If you're local, I want you to understand how much Brian is a Norm Hitchcock of our show. He is just yanks the emergency brake in the middle of anything. I am good.
Nick's coming in at 11. He says Red Bull is all revved. They're trying to do the whole podcast in 10 minutes.
just in case our software shits out again, we're just going to get it all in.
That's
right?
fair.
Not on
Right?
true.
Look, 5-star. We need that 5-star review, and that's the high D personality. Look, like, let's get to it. I'm amped up. When's the last time you've seen me have a Red Bull?
I was going to ask about that.
It's a very Brian thing to have.
It
You're
is.
missing some beef jerky, but
Macy, our listing coordinator, is drinking a big old Red Bull in there. I like to think it's the kind of influence I have around here.
Yeah,
I was
I was going to get the double, but I'm like, it's been a long time since I've had this. I don't really want to do this on the show where all of a sudden my heart explodes.
Can't handle it
Like,
all
I
at
just don't
once.
know if I want to do that live. Maybe that would help for views.
I don't need to be around that.
Yeah,
See,
I mean,
guys, this is an adequate amount of banter. Now we can start the
Yes.
show.
So let's talk about real estate coaches, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. We've had several of them on the show. We've had Jake Dixon on from the locker room.
Yeah, I love that dude.
David
Huffman was
Huffman,
on.
Closing on Demand.
Yeah,
Who else have we had on?
a lot of people. It's been 99
You don't even
and a half
remember.
episodes.
You don't even remember.
Yeah.
That's why.
No, but I mean, we could
go
take it
back.
a lot of places. I mean, we've had Reese on. I mean,
Yeah,
who
Michael
essentially is a real
Reese.
estate coach. I mean, like,
Adam Bailey's been
you
on.
know, Bailey's
which is,
been
he's
on.
got a
We've
lot of
had
coaching and stuff.
Hergenrother on. I mean, I want to totally shoot our show in the foot, but you know, we've had all kinds of coaches on.
Absolutely.
Us kind of.
Yeah.
Every episode is
The-
coaches on.
The Tour Academy, right? When we were dipping our toes in that coaching arena.
Mhm.
But with that, what is it? You know, if you were to take a poll, especially in the bigger real estate groups, that's just everyone's just complaining in there.
Yeah.
Right. It's about, is it okay for the other agent to start marketing to my client after the house closes?
Yeah, this is a hot sports opinion, and this is because we're going to bring this back to coaching because I think people have the same mindset in some ways around coaching. But there was a post today just about, I don't know, apparently the buyer's agent was posting that after the home closed, the listing agent left like a handwritten note and a charcuterie board in the fridge for the buyers when they came home. It was like, hey, congratulations on your new home. It's great doing business with you or whatever. And they're like, all these people on this Facebook group were like, that's so unprofessional. Those are your clients and they're trying to steal. I'm going to tell you right now, one, we send thank you letters to every single buyer when we're on the listing side for two reasons. One, 80-something% of people when surveyed by NAR said they would use the same realtor again, less than 12% too. Two, once that house closes, your buyer representation agreement has expired. So they're not your clients anymore. That's all I'm going to say about that. Also, don't complain. If you don't like my ideas, steal them and do them better.
That's what we did to your ideas first.
Because if you think anything that we're doing is original, it ain't.
Nope.
So let's talk about the real estate coaching, right? So I've seen several polls in the past where people talk about, should I hire a coach? And then you go look in the comments and it's just a train wreck where, people are like, why would you pay to have someone just tell you what to do? Why would you pay?
Let's get detailed about the comments. They're usually stuff like that, right?
Yes, like it's why do you need to be paid to be motivated to be successful in this business?
I think two things are happening and let's be honest, that is the majority of what people are saying, right? The majority of it is just other people shitting on the idea of having a real estate coach. And that's coming from, one, their own personal delusion about their activities and how much they really think they're doing compared to how much they're actually doing. And B, they're not taking into account that everybody just doesn't function the same. I would never in a million years probably be coached by the exact same person Nick would be coached by.
Sure.
Let's put it this way. Not in the same way. It may be the same person, but they're going to have to speak two completely different languages.
All right, let's have a real dumb conversation
to motivate us, right? Yeah, exactly. They're like, let's just dangle a carrot in front of Matt and just make him just run around in circles. Nick's over there just beating him to death with questions, right? But I think that's a little bit of what's happening with the real estate coaching thing. Is as agents, I think we're a little bit delusional about what our own personal output is, and as a society, we're argumentative on social media. That's what you're seeing a lot of. But I see a ton of people who absolutely crap on the idea of having coaches in those groups.
And it makes so every comment is like some form of that, right? Like, why would you pay somebody just to tell you what to do when you already know what to do? Why would you pay somebody to tell you to do basic stuff? Why would you pay somebody to tell you to get your mind right and all that type of stuff? Like, first of all, if you legitimately think that's what coaching is, then you've clearly never been coached by somebody who's a high level coach, right? I will tell you right now, we pay a lot of money every month for our team to be coached. And what's amazing about, I'll even give him a shout out, Rob Daniel. I love him. He's our coach. He was a former KW 3-time Bold Coach of the Year. He's a kick-ass dude and just a genuinely good human being too. I also will tell you he has no secrets.
No,
right? He's not getting on there like, for 1 hour, I need you to really, really go like this, because that's the only way your mind is going to not get blown out of your head. Because I'm about to tell you tons of secrets. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? But I will also tell you, in the time that we have been coaching with Rob, our deals have gone up every single month. You know why? Because what Rob does a really, really great job of is he brings a theoretical big ass mirror to every coaching call.
Yes.
And he stands right, we do it through Zoom, and he holds it up right in front of the camera and goes, look at yourself and the shit you were going to do. You said you were going to do last week and the commitments you made. And now let's reverse engineer them and think about what it would have taken you to actually accomplish that. And now let's analyze what got in your way. And then you really boil it down. Most of coaching, especially in real estate, is having very candid and honest conversations around why you're not actually doing the things that you should be doing. And I say that because real estate isn't hard. I say this all the time. All you have to do to sell real estate in America is speak English and type on a computer. That's it, right? The reality is I said this in other, I think I said this on a Facebook Live the other day. We invent distractions, or we allow distractions to become obstacles, right? We always say like, oh, I couldn't do it because of this. I couldn't do it because of that, or whatever. When the reality is this and that are probably things that could have been solved. I did this in Facebook Live the other day. I'll just say the same thing. Like, I was making that same excuse for a while, right? I needed somebody to at least help me get back to exercising at the rate that I used to, right? I was a phenomenal athlete for a very long time.
It's the accountability.
Yeah, right? Highly touted boxing prospect stuff, and I wasn't working out in the mornings at all. And I kept coming in looking for somebody to justify my excuses. Like, oh, I'm so, I haven't worked out. And Matt was like, dude, there's a gym across the street. Why don't you just join that one? And I was like, all right, well, that's a really good point. He just held a mirror up, right? And that's what coaching is. So that's why a lot of those comments are just like, why would you pay someone to tell you what to do? Like, you haven't had good coaching then.
But maybe not even, maybe they have had good coaching, but they don't like the uncomfortableness. So
It's super uncomfortable.
yes, right. So I we just hired I just hired a
We're just gonna
coach.
Gloss past the fact that Matt just tried to say really and super at the same time. Just said it's super uncomfortable.
Okay. We were going to.
I love it. We were going to. Not today.
Can we have this recorded? We can make it a drop machine.
We should. We
Yeah.
should.
That's an e-brake, right?
Yeah.
So I just hired a coach for the first time in probably 7 or 8 years, right? And as we're going through the first session, I realize that all the problems that the Good Home team is having is my fault,
Bum, bum, bum.
right?
I mean, they have to be, right? Because you're
Right.
the leader.
And you want to blame other people.
I love
And-
blaming other people when
Yeah.
stuff doesn't work out.
You're like-
It's my favorite thing to do.
You're like, no, it's a bad hire. Well, who hired that person?
Yeah, it's
right.
exactly.
You know, why are they not closing more deals and why is stuff falling through the crack? Well, I mean, because my systems
Yeah.
aren't up to, like, we haven't updated our systems.
You're not getting them into production. Yeah.
Right. So it's that uncomfortable feeling that you have going through where all of a sudden they start asking you these questions and you're like, well, no, I don't do that. Well, did I set the clear expectation to win? Well, no, I didn't. So how are they supposed to win? Well, I don't know.
Right.
And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm paying $1,000 a month for this.
Right.
Right. So I understand why people are like, why would you pay for that? Like that it's not going to do anything. But no, when you've got skin in the game, $500, $1,000,
Yep.
$2,000 a month, and you're sitting here like John Kitchen, like, by the way, Wayne Salomons, we had Wayne on,
Yeah.
right? Coach at Hero Nation.
It's funny how he mentioned all these coaches. I forgot Wayne. Wayne
Yeah.
Solomon's great coach.
Yeah,
Awesome
good
dude.
friend of ours.
Yeah.
Like, John Kitchen's
Maybe
over-
not anymore because we just excluded him from
I saw him on Friday. I still see him in person. It's all right. With John, with Kitchens over at National Association of Expert Advisors, you have to understand where you need to have that bird's eye view of where you think you need to fix those cracks in the foundation and the problems you have, because we don't have a sales and marketing problem right now. We've got a complete operation problem. We don't have a lead flow problem. We've got, all right, we need to perfect our processes because we do a decently darn good job at 200 transactions a year, but the stuff that the runoff, the extra stuff we're missing,
The inefficiencies.
the inefficiencies is costing us what, 100, 150, 200 more transactions?
I have said for years, and I don't like this about myself, and it's one of the things that I've challenged. I'm starting a new coaching thing in June, a new old coaching thing. But part of my intake questions, one of the things they asked me is like, I just want to know for a fact that in my life I gave something absolute maximum effort, right?
Yeah.
Something I didn't want to, right? Because it's really easy to give max effort to vacation,
video games.
right? Like whatever
Call of
you
Duty.
want to do, right? Like it's really hard for me personally to give max effort to stuff that I don't want to give max effort to. One, especially in real estate, is the business that I have and where my business is going. It's in a comfortable place. And we were talking about this before the show. I have been ineffective for the past couple of weeks, right? Like I put pendings on the board, but that was work I did 45 days ago, right? I'm not going to notice these inefficiencies
Right.
until my April pendings start looking light for my May closings, right? That's where it's going to show up for me. And I need in my life, I don't know what that looks like, but I am self-aware enough to know that I need somebody in my life who's just going to hold me accountable to some kind of maximum effort.
Why is it that we discount the power of accountability so much? That's all I need in my life, right?
That's all you need.
That's what coaching is. Like you're saying, like, oh, you pay a coach, all he's going to do is just make sure you're doing what you already know you're supposed to do. I'm like, yeah, it sounds awesome, right? Like this is going back. I worked out with Matt's trainer the other day, who's also a good friend of both of ours. But Matt pays him a lot of money every month to make sure his ass is in the gym, and he trains with him,
I
right?
bet you did squats the whole time.
I did deadlifts. I just happened to be at the gym. He's also a good friend of ours.
Fucking leg day every
And
day.
you know what I was planning on doing? I was planning on getting done with my treadmill, doing some little lazy lifting, or maybe just pretending to do push-ups, and then going back to the office. And he goes, "You want to do deadlifts?" And I was like,
No.
"Okay," because I don't want to let him down because he's a big dude and he's muscular as hell. And I was like, "I'm not gonna bitch out, right?" So here I am doing deadlifts. My back is still hurting. That was 3 days ago, right? But that's accountability. I don't care if a coach is a genius or telling me secrets or whatever. If he is there to make sure that I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing, I literally, my person, God, I don't want it. I don't even want to say the person who helps me. I don't want to say personal assistant. It sounds way above my pay grade. Her job, and Jesse is accustomed to this because he sits on the other side of the table from me all day too, is just to tell me the next thing I'm supposed to do all day. and I get more done.
You know how much I want that in my life so bad?
It's amazing.
I said this before in the past that like I'm 6'3", so part of me just really wants, the first thing I want is just a 20-foot human to carry me around like a toddler.
Yes.
And just carry me like a baby some days. So that's the first thing I want. But since that apparently isn't going to happen,
This big person.
I do. I just want a person like I want to feel like I'm 5 years old and just somebody carry me around.
That's cool.
But the other thing I need is I just need someone in my life just kind of telling me like, hey, stop doing that thing.
Yes.
Now do this thing. And I don't want it in every aspect of my life, just the spots where I am lacking motivation.
Yeah.
Cooking dinner and healthy meals for my life, right? Like need somebody to do that. All these things that we also want are other. I don't look at coaching any more than I would look at leverage of having somebody who cuts my hair or cleans the house.
Yeah.
They're doing something I cannot do for myself that I need somebody else to help me with.
It's like this idea of almost like positive guilt. That's what it is. And like coaching can be translated to so many different things, right? Like the sound is still good. Okay. Positive coaching can be translated to so many different things, right? Like food. So like meal plans or whatever, like you do like an icon meal or something like, you know, they give it to you. It's the same thing. You're doing something, somebody else is doing something for you they might not be able to do on your own, or sending you those meals and you paying like $8 or $10 per meal or whatever they are. It's that perfect amount of positive guilt for you to be like, I really don't want that to go bad in my fridge. I guess I'm eating healthy instead of grabbing McDonald's on the way home. You know what I mean? That's all coaching is. And it's just in a different format. It's just somebody forcing you to do the things that you already know you should be doing. If we all were doing the things we all needed to do all the time, we'd all be rich and famous, right? Like, but we clearly are not.
Well, it's like what Rob says. Rob Daniel says, he talks about when you set your goals and your intentions, right? Like let's say Matt, for example, let's say you want to take 10 listings this month, right? He probably did this with you, right? And you want to take 10 listings this month. Well, what is the, have you ever taken 10 listings in 1 month? And you're like, no, I haven't. Okay. Well, what are you going to do differently to take 10 listings? Well, I mean, going to work a little bit harder. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. So, Matt, would you be willing to go and...
He does shave your head.
He did that for me, too. He's like, you've got great hair. You've got great hair. Would you be willing to shave your head? I'm like, I mean, probably. I'm okay with that. But, like, what else? Would I be willing to wax my chest hair on, Facebook Live? Because that would be painful as shit, probably.
Cut off one of your fingers.
Yes.
But here's what I'll also say. So let's talk about this, because I think that's one of those things. You go back to deep. That's cool. I think that's one of those things that, like, we also don't take into account. Like, you need to understand your personal self, because I'll tell you that haircutting thing, that didn't bother me one little bit because I hit my numbers. But guess also what I wasn't going to do if I did. I wouldn't cut my fucking hair, right? Not as some sense of personal pride or anything. It was just, it's really easy to say yes in the moment to something that you don't have an attachment to.
Right.
Because I've also had coaches do the bit where it's like, are you willing to write $1,000 check to your adversary? Yeah, sure. Whatever. I don't care.
Can I be your adversary?
I got to find an adversary.
Sure. And I'm not just like cool throwing away $1,000. I'm also like, that doesn't motivate me to do anything, because I've said this on the show before. I'm not driven by being on the top of the pedestal.
Yeah. Are you saying I can write that $1,000 check now and do nothing this month?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's, and I know that's not good for my personal bank account and all those other things, but like you have to understand what drives you too, and don't buy in to like fake action. And I'm not saying don't buy into what they're telling you. They don't know you either. They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You have to understand what is motivation for you. For me, the amount of anxiety I have when my business isn't where it's supposed to be and I'm not doing anything is the worst thing. I will run away from that pain so desperately. It's also a pain I put myself in, which then brings guilt and shame on top of it, right? So then you get in this whole emotional quagmire or whatever. So a coach for me who's going to be like, did you do your 20 contacts today? That doesn't do shit for me.
Right.
The coach that I have right now through Herg that I coach with every 2 weeks coaches me on a completely personal level, because when my personal life is right, my pendings are right.
Yeah.
Right. When my personal life, when my bank account aren't right, my pendings start suffering, because I'm not the type of person from a business standpoint who says, oh, problem here, let's rally around it. Mm-hmm. I'm like person like, oh, problem here, let's just shut it down for another day and hope that problem doesn't show up tomorrow.
And you're making a good point, because like this is the reality. The people that don't understand what coaching can do in their lives, maybe are hiding behind a misunderstanding of the fact that everybody is their own worst enemy. And there are different levels to that, right? Like you could be a highly productive person and the few things that you're not doing are that's where your own worst enemy. Or you could be completely in a bad way and unwilling to get yourself out of it and your own worst enemy there, right? Like, and I mean this from a real estate sales standpoint. I'm not trying to like bag on anybody's personal situation, right? But I'm just saying, like in the sales.
But let's also not just act like we have to have some HR
I don't want to
ready
be
conversation.
QPC. That's not what we started the show.
Well, because the reality is we are in sales. This is a hard job to get up for. Your personal life, the people in your life, the people motivating you, the people dragging you down on the back end, 100% affect your ability to get up. So if your personal life is something that needs to be involved in your coaching, don't be afraid to do that, because I'll tell you right now, mine 100% fucking is.
No, it's true. Right? I mean, that's exact kind of where I was going with that. Is that's what I've grown to learn over time, because I wasn't a big coaching guy in the beginning either. Right now, I legitimately have 3 coaches that coach me. That's how much I need it. I have Becca, I have Rob, and I have Charlie, and every single one of them does a different thing. But every one of those things is in some way keeping Brian from being his own worst enemy. And you know what? Things are going pretty good right now. And I'm happy to have 3 coaches.
So what is it in that you found? Because if you had those 3 coaches 2 years ago, would it have been as effective back then as it is today? Right? Because that's the...
on what level? On what level?
Tell me.
Well, because here's the thing. If we're talking about where I am to where I'm going, is different incrementally from where I was to where I came. So like if I was a person, a few years ago, let's just saying, I was selling maybe 20 homes a year, right? If coaching gets me to 25, that's a huge increase in my business on a percentage basis. If we had 5 units now, coaching's probably not worth it because it's not a huge uptick. And I don't mean it to be mean. I'm just like, it's in relation, right? Yes, coaching would have been hugely effective at any point in my life, because it would have just gotten me out of my own way to the next level. And that next level might not have been where I am now, but it would have been the next step.
But would it have held you accountable the way that, because look,
hell yeah,
back then, that's the question. Like Matt,
I don't know.
Like
you're asking present Brian, not past.
Right.
Brian.
So we're looking at back then, like even Matt, like Kelderman today is saying, look, you can't hold me accountable, for, I don't give a shit about shaving my head. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. Right. But if deep down now on a personal level that if you can coach him on helping keep his personal life on track, that keeps his accountability high. That keeps his production at a level that is happy with him and the team.
Yeah.
Right. And so Matt he wouldn't have known that 2 years ago.
You guys knew me 2 years ago. I definitely didn't.
Right.
Yes. So when it comes to coaches, like there's also a time when there's people, I know agents that get coaches just because their brokerage hammers it down their throat. And they're like, this is what you need to do.
If that's the worst reason to do it, is feeling pressured into it. But I think you're right. Like I will tell you right now, the subtlety of your personal journey is very almost elusive. It's like you can't. I hadn't even talked to Matt about this. I legitimately think that there's videos on our YouTube channel from a year ago or 2 years ago that I want to take down, like some of our taco videos and stuff, because I looked at them and like, I'm not that dude anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way that I was acting, and I would never do that anymore. And like I thought it was funny and fun back then, and now I realize I've grown out of that. I really don't like that image of myself, and so. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it wouldn't have hit the same way. But then, how do you know?
But here's the thing: is there's like in our own personal life. I'll tell you just that specific thing. There's somebody in our life who's very prominent and leads a big part that went back and reevaluated what their content was from about 8 years prior to who they became. And they were like, "That's just not how I'm trying to represent myself anymore." So it's okay to do a personal audit of who you used to be, right? Facebook Memories is great for this. Every time something comes up, I'm like, I ain't that dude anymore. That shit is gone.
Yeah, it's like 100% why I don't post on Facebook. Like,
so you have no memories.
I'm going north all day.
But to answer, to kind of touch on what you're talking about a little bit, I wouldn't have. I've had different coaches at different phases, right? Like I did the KW productivity kind of model. Was the very first real coaching I had that wasn't just like a brokerage or something like that. Something that I was willing to pay my money for somebody to tell me what to do, type of thing. And I don't know if, again, it was a season of my life, if I was naturally ramping up, but my business and life were more productive. right? And now I've had various forms of coaching in various avenues of my life, whether it's personal or through business since then. I'll say the type of coaching I'm doing now, it's not focused on making calls and worried about contacts.
Yeah.
It is focused solely on internal stuff. That is all it is. And it's because, again, I've through other opportunities and recognizing what works for me, and then very candidly getting more money than I've ever had, right? Not an absurd amount of money, but I've made more money every year of my life since I was 14 years old and started working detasseling corn. Every single year that statement is said, you made more than last year. And that's really great. I've also learned Matt has gotten 0% happier because of that, which is super cliched, but it also means I don't need you to coach me on how to take more business.
Right.
I need you to coach me on how to be happy with the business I'm taking. Because it ain't bad.
That's crazy interesting though. Is that like that's
that he chucked corn or whatever?
Oh, that's a whole story he's got to tell you
Detasseled.
sometime. It's pretty interesting stuff. I mean,
It's a weird summer
of course,
job.
the kid from Iowa grew up detasseling corn. That's the most cliche thing ever.
3 summers in a row.
Right? That's something that. Okay, so we've already established that the headline for the show is a bit. We love coaching. It does suck. So does working out, and so does eating right, and it's good for you. How would you audit? Like if you were going to hire a new coach, because Matt's making a great point. I will tell you right now, money doesn't lead to more happiness either. I will also not be a liar and say that the lack of money doesn't rob you of happiness. It super does.
It's a double edge. A double.
There is a threshold where you need to be financially set to live a life that.
And I don't believe the study with that.
77,000.
Yes,
Fuck that. That ain't 77K. I can tell you that. That book was written in the 80s though, so that's adjusted for inflation. It's more like 250 now. But the coaching though, if you don't connect on a personal level, like Matt's making a great point, more money doesn't always mean more happiness. I don't want to be super cliche, but more money does sometimes lead to more problems. Like coaching should be very personal, highly personal. Two of my coaches, and then we have the team coach, but the two of my coaches that just coach me know me on an intimate level. And I think that's a really big part of it. Not just about my business, not just about any of that. It's about who I am, and that we talk more about the shit that's going on with me as a person than we do than what's going on with the business.
But that's got to look. That has to happen, right? If they don't know what's going on in your personal life, then I mean they're only going to get 20% of the story, because 80% of your personal life is going to affect your work life, right? If you're having troubles at home, right, then you're going to be distracted. Right. And you're not going to be able to effectively accomplish what you need to do as the leader of the herd group.
Not at all.
Right. And now you're letting not only yourself down, but you're letting the entire team down.
Well, and it has to be that way because so this business isn't that complicated. It's pretty simple, right? You talk to people, they buy real estate, so like if your business isn't growing, yes, there are levels to this over time, but like wherever you're at in your business right now, you're probably not at capacity. You're probably not reaching your full potential. It's usually not because you haven't figured it out. It's usually because you're not taking the types of action that your max capacity would have you take. And so coaching is not about always like do this, not that. It's about finding that inner you and bringing you at least 1 or 2 steps forward towards your full potential. That's a very personal thing.
By the way, the converted amount from 77,000 in 1982 is now $213,000.
Okay, look, I was legit about to ask, hey, will y'all do some comments, because I'm not getting it. Why is my phone the only phone that doesn't get comments? What model y'all have? I got an 11.
I got a 10.
Yeah, I think this is an 11.
Take it back to the store.
Conspiracy. It's 5G bats again. Bro.
I think
is.
I think it's your coach knows that you don't need to read the comments, because then you'll just go into this tirade, and then they'll take the entire show over. So
What was the adjusted amount?
213,000.
Okay, so make 213,000. This whole episode is null and void. Doesn't matter.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Then,
No.
Yeah, because then. But here's the thing: is to hammer that home, right? When you look at it, if you look at the majority of people that talk shit about real estate coaching, right? But they go to networking events. Is a networking event, or if they're talking to maybe their broker team leader, if they're going to any of the conventions, is that not getting some type of coaching anyway because they're trying to better themselves, but they're going to sit here and talk shit about the coaches in general and saying, why would you need to pay for that?
Sure. I think this just goes back to internet. I think internet real estate agents just wanting to flex in weird ways. I think part of what we're reading into is just the overall kind of just idiocy of our industry because it is so.
It's just fun to talk shit, dude.
It is. It's so numerically focused and focused on production, those types of things. And there are name a real estate agent who doesn't tell their sexiest story when you ask them, right? You ask us who are top producing recruiters, we're going to throw out some crazy number.
Ask about something that's downtrodden and you'll get every complainer in the world.
Sure.
Ask how many deals you've closed in a month or what your record is. Those same agents will be like, I don't know, I guess it's like 40 or something, whatever.
But here's the thing too is I don't
the same people.
I don't want to discount the fact that person came to that space asking that question thinking they were going to be provided with value, and then when you get 150 dicks sounding off about how bad coaching is, they have just altered another person's perception of coaching, right?
Yeah, it's not
100%.
healthy.
So it's like I do want to acknowledge the fact that the person who asked that question, like that person needs to understand what they're trying to get out of coaching a little bit better. You have to be able to put your finger on some part of it in order for you to kind of direct yourself, and then also realize that you're probably going to go through a couple iterations of that before you really figure out what it is.
When a good coaching company is going to come in and determine, like, most people are going to hire a coach, and that agent, that person has an idea of what they want to fix or improve upon. In reality, that's not what needs to be fixed or improved upon.
Almost never.
Right? And look,
you know who's the worst person at diagnosing their own problems? Brian and I went through this recently. We had something that we had to try and figure out, and there was some sacrifices that I needed to make, right? And there was a situation presented to me that I was like, okay, that's good. But let me come back to you guys and let me pick what I think would be really helpful for me, and I'll come back to you with it. And it's hilarious now, but if you were to see, I ran across my notes because I was in Broken Bow. This happened in August. Yeah. I was in Broken Bow, and I ran across 8 pages of notes. I was diligent. I mean, I was trying to take my own bias out of it. I'm writing down all these things. I had this whole thing, and bro, I wasn't fucking 30 seconds in the conversation with Brian and the other person we're having the conversation with, and just realizing how insane it all sounds. It's like you're just sitting
Dear
there.
Diary.
Yes, bro.
I don't want to be biased.
It was
just
the silliest thing. And it was also the first time I intellectually looked at my feelings and had to admit, hey, while you're in this sucky place, also let's just be aware of what you're kind of doing right now and try to be more logical next time you're in this place. And that was incredibly helpful for me just as a coaching moment, just a little coach tidbit to throw out there. But being really intellectually aware of your worst emotional moments. Put the dog down yesterday, right? Just to throw a total black mark on this, right? I also was very much aware the whole time it was going on of how much it sucked. The fact that it wasn't going to feel better. The fact that I didn't want to take my son and give him this replacement complex that I have, right?
Yeah.
Dog dies, go get new dog. Replace sad emotion with happy emotion, right? That is translated very poorly in other aspects of my life, right? Yeah. So as Luke's sitting there legitimately I was shocked at how much he was bawling last night. It made me cry. Yeah. It was the worst, bro. I was also steering away from my natural impulse to be like, don't worry, buddy, we'll go get because if it was up to me, we go get another dog on Saturday, bro. We would just be like, let's just replace this. I don't want a puppy right now. I got shit to do. I can't train a puppy, but I'd buy it just to not feel bad.
Happy, yeah.
Right. So coaching has allowed me to be more aware of myself in that moment, more aware of what I'm doing, more aware of what I'm passing to my child, that he'll then in turn pass to his kids. This is generational type of emotional behavioral change when you allow it to be. So don't look at it as fucking make 20 more calls. It's a lifelong journey that can potentially alter generational curses, wealth, whatever you want to slap on it, just because you handle yourself differently.
Yeah, and you can't look at the calls are not the point of coaching, and that's where your mindset has to be right coming into it. You're like, oh, he's going to tell me to make more calls. Understand, like I said before, this business isn't hard to figure out. Coaching is about what you need to be doing, and then exploring the relationship between you and your coach is going to get you into those productive actions. What they mean to you on a deeper, more emotional level. It's a very personal thing. Yes. The symptom and outcome of great coaching is that you are more productive and make more calls, right? But that's not what the conversation is. The conversation is much deeper than that. And it usually has to do with with what's inside of here and what's inside of here and how it all fits together. That's what a great coach does.
It's why we hate it.
It's why we hate it, because you know it's really uncomfortable exploring what's between here and here and why it's not all working out sometimes.
Getting emotionally right is very similar to sobriety. The reason people don't like to get sober is because you're now faced with the reality of all your shit, and you've been using whatever your addiction is, shopping,
it's real easy
sex,
to party
alcohol.
away when you're avoiding all that other shit.
It's the same thing with, like, look, you're addicted to giving yourself an excuse. Is it as detrimental on the outward physical thing? No, but it could potentially be horrible for what you could potentially provide for your family, how far this could really go, right?
100%.
Well, and look at this. So coaching. So I wanted to look up, like, because what I've realized in coaching is look, if they're telling you to make more calls, that's not coaching.
No,
right? And the definition here, it's a two-way communication process between members of the organization or your coach, right? And ultimately, what it does is it involves teaching that person how to arrive at a solution of their own. So, because I'm thinking with my coach,
that's the best gifts you can give somebody.
Absolutely.
Teach a man to fish. It's that whole thing, dude.
Yeah.
Teach somebody how to work through their own shit.
Like I'm walking through with my coach, and I'm throwing out, I'm like, what do you think? I'm trying to get feedback. And he's like, well, you tell me. Like, this is your vision. It's not mine.
Yep.
Right. It's your vision. And the coach is helping you get clearer on that. Right. And it can't be clear as mud. It's got to be a clear line of sight of where you want to go in your business. Right. So if you sit here and ask your team members right now, what is their business goals? And they're like, want to sell
that might
30 houses.
Yeah, that might be step one.
Oh, okay. Why? What does that mean? How much money is that?
What would that do for you? All those things. But also ask yourself those questions, because I think what Nick's talking about is right. You need to get clear. I will also tell you, it took me years to understand exactly what I needed from a coach. Yeah. Right. It took me a long time, a lot of mistakes, right? Probably money spent. There's a commitment to this that I would say, probably like everything in Matt's life, could have been sped up with a little more organization and attention to like the slaps in the face I got instead of just trucking right through those. But that's my learning process, and I'm comfortable with it at 42 now, right?
Sure.
But the reality is, I think for a lot of people, you also need to understand that just because you did coaching once and that situation didn't work out for you, there's still tons of advantages to it. And if you're telling me that you've kind of got everything buttoned up in your life, I'm just saying you're probably hiding more than anybody else.
Have you had a coach where you just absolutely did not go anywhere with?
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah, I will say there's
two.
I've had, I did and I really tried to get into it and put some money in it, but I had one where somebody that was very highly touted that I coached with for a short period of time, that I was angry at the person. I was like, I'm actually telling you, like, this is not working. And you're almost telling me that I'm the one who's wrong about me. And like, I was getting pissed.
Yeah.
And so I finally was just like, I'm not paying you.
So that I had the same. And so that's where, like, you have to be careful and not allow yourself to get turned off and say it does blanket statement that this doesn't work. I had a coach that I signed up for where I was like, I need leadership. I'm at a point in our business, I needed that leadership coaching. Well, every freaking coaching call was what is your scripts? What is your numbers at? And I said, that's not leadership to me. Yeah. I know my numbers. I know other people's numbers better than they do.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, I need to lead my people. And every call, it just didn't grasp it. And what I found out later is that this person was not a great leader.
Yep.
They were just a salesperson.
Yeah.
Right. And
the numbers always need to be the second conversation anyway, right? That's actually, this is good actionable advice. I think the way you separate really, really valuable coaching from just kind of like the cookie cutter structured BS is, I think it's in kind of those initial conversations, right? What do you want to accomplish, right? What do you want to do? That's one of the first thing. What are your goals? This is one of the first thing your coach is gonna ask you. Let me tell you what a great coach will do. When they ask, what are your goals? Like my goal this year, I think is we combine all the teams. Well, I think 650 units is our transactional goal or whatever. That's not my personal goal. If your coach asks you, what are your goals? And you say, I want to sell 50 houses this year. And your coach doesn't call you out and tell you that that's a stupid goal because that has to do with selling houses. And that's going to be a tough relationship for you to build with your coach because that's a dumb goal. And I don't mean that's a dumb goal because like you shouldn't sell 50 houses. What I mean is your goal should be what you want to do with your life. And if it's on, a yearly goal, it should be what do you want to do this year, right? I want to take 8 vacations. I want to be able to not handle the transactional side of things. I want to take, all of my weekends off. I want to spend more time with my children. I want to do this, that, and the other thing. If your goal is to say, I want to sell 50 homes, well, shit, go do that. If you wouldn't do it for free, it's really not your goal, right? No, you don't want, your goal isn't to sell 50 homes. Your goal is to get the money from selling 50
That's
homes
good.
and go do something with it. And a good coach is going to take what you want your life to look like and then hold you accountable to those actions. And if you're just like Nick, where it's just all about the numbers all the time, that's a very difficult coaching relationship to have, at least from my perspective.
I agree. I mean, it's. I just go back to putting, and I understand, and I know the feeling that people have when they're going through coaching, right? Christina Smallhorn, I want to win the lottery, but I don't want to play.
That's exactly
Yep.
it, right?
Boom.
Like,
Yeah.
Right?
that's really freaking good.
Perfect.
Look,
You pin that comment right now,
little
so-
insight though.
I'm saying
I'm
go buy
sending you the
lottery
top
tickets
small.
every
I'm gonna
day,
tell
but
you
it
right
is
now.
true.
A little peek inside my window. I've got a scratch off problem.
It's the weirdest
Why?
thing I've
How does
ever
somebody
heard about
as
you.
disciplined as you have a scratch off?
I
problem?
love scratch offs.
Why?
It's instant gratification. I know if I'm a winner or a loser right away.
You can just do crack.
No,
I mean-
you're always a loser
Yeah.
if you do
Yeah,
crap.
I don't think. Have you ever seen a winner that does crack?
They certainly think they are when they're high.
Yeah, but I mean,
No.
from the scratch off perspective.
How much do you play the expensive ones, the cheap ones?
So
Some of those are like $30.
So I work my way up, right? I work my way
It's like
up.
if I
like-
lose,
Oh, Heather just legitimately said, "Don't get him started." He's
Yeah.
about to tell his whole
So,
setup.
I
bro.
work my way up. Like I don't go to $1. I go to the $2 ones, and my game is the weekly grant. And
I do love the weekly.
here's the thing:
grand,
I will
dude.
get pissed, and I will not yell. I will scold
screaming at the cashier.
scold the 7-Eleven guy for not having the weekly grand there.
Oh, I thought for you losing.
No,
I was
that's
like,
not his fault.
Do you like
I mean,
break the bank too? I like that one.
No, I like.
the banks.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
all right. I don't like to play the bingo ones because it's too there's too many things to look at, and then you don't know if you're a winner.
What do you think your net is right now?
Oh, I'm negative. I'm in the
That's
hole.
good. So how much? I would like estimate.
I mean, probably who knows? Can't even.
It's such a big number. Nick would tell us if it was a small number. It's so big.
But here's the thing: I just started. I'm starting to move up to like the 20, the 50, maybe 100.
It wasn't winning enough on the
Yeah.
cheap ones.
Yeah,
So he had to spend
But
more
I-
How
money.
addiction works.
Yeah,
Now
but
it just needs more hair.
because you got to catch up, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's like it's that.
I'm
instant
going to
gratification.
Vegas with this man in 2 weeks.
Just wait. Just wait. It's gonna be.
And so
It's
is
gonna
Jesse.
be. I'm telling you.
I
You
don't
going,
get
Jesse?
to go
Yes.
on this trip.
I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be.
I invited you, bro.
I know. It's nobody's
So,
fault. I just don't get to go on about it.
No, what did he finally admit he's in the hole on the scratchers? No, and I'm not in the hole.
You
You're never
just said you were.
but I don't count that as being in the hole. I just haven't been able to
That's how
win
he-
all the
Heather, I
way.
got
That's
Heather.
how he learns how to play
Yes,
scratch offs
right?
better.
It's
You
the
really
same-
got to spend money to make.
Look, it's just like your business. Like we're down in listing count right now, but we're not down all the way. We're gonna dig out of this. Like
You're not a loser until you quit.
that's
That
right,
is true.
right?
Always a chance.
You never, just like if you buy stock and it goes down, you didn't lose any money until you sell it.
You know you have a bad addiction when you're comparing scratch offs.
Look, we all have our vices. Come on.
Yes,
Like,
dude,
look
I'm
at
with you.
this.
I'm
Like,
100% team Nick
like,
on this thing.
like, come on, man. Like, look, if you're enjoying today's episode right now, go over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. And if you want to leverage out your business, maybe have more time scratching, lotto tickets like I do.
I like how Nick says, "If you're enjoying this episode at minute 44,"
Yeah.
it's like if you're still here,
I mean,
like there's people that just been listening to 44 minutes. Like I have hated every second of this.
They could.
guys are the guys.
I mean, have you not listened to a train wreck where you're like, I don't really
My
like
coach
this.
wasn't making me listen to this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right.
Right?
Listen to 2 hours of stupid podcasts every week.
The best mistakes are the ones we learn from, is what Christina just said.
That is true.
Yep.
I gotta go get some scratch offs then.
Let's go do it right now. So if you need to leverage out your business and you can't afford, because you got a scratch off problem, right? And you can't afford a full-time in-person assistant, talk with Justin Nelson over at Sphere Rocket VA, right? SphereRocketVA.com. Talk to him about the virtual assistance program that he has. $3 to $5 an hour is really what the average going rate
Yep.
is for the team members that he hires. It goes through a training program. I'm going to tell you, and there's a guarantee behind it, by the way. I don't know if he's talked to you about this. That if I think it's $199 for insurance, right? That if your hire were to quit in the first year or you were to fire them, he will replace that virtual assistant for free.
Bro, I'm spending $199 on that all day.
Right?
Yeah.
Because look, what happens if it doesn't work out, right? What if you get 30, 60, 90 days and you're like, no, this person isn't working out the way I thought they should be.
Well, it might change for you. I know that's what happened for me, right? Like what I thought I needed changed really dramatically because those problems that we think we have in real estate from like an admin perspective, typically when you put somebody in front of them that knows what to do, they knock that shit out in like 30 seconds. And you're like, oh, wait, I thought that was a week's worth of work.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you
So true.
I'm going to tell you right now that I had another virtual assistant start on Monday, Bella, right? Today's Wednesday. She is already calling me out and we set some policies and procedures. We are 7,000 past dues behind in Boomtown.
So many. I thought we were bad.
We got up there at one point.
Right.
It wasn't quite that high.
So she's going through and clearing that out. Bella's amazing already. And she's putting up the biggest violator list. I am one of the violators.
Of course, I was always.
I'm one of the violators. So I'm third on the list, by the way. Ashley and Elizabeth. Ashley takes the cake at 476
Really?
past dues.
Oh, I thought it would have been Benny.
There was a
Sure.
there was a point
Really?
when Brian was doing this where again me trying to solve my own problems. I reached out to him. I was like, dude, do I really need to be on that list too? Because I don't really think people didn't know I'm 300 tasks behind.
I created that policy.
Just trying to get out of it.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out.
I created that policy this morning,
Nice.
and by noon this afternoon, posting in our team group about the violators, and there I am.
What's your new policy? What's the limit of overdue tasks?
So
I want to
we're-
see how
we're-
lean you are compared to me. This
I don't-
is going to be a great.
I don't have one yet, so I'd like to hear yours.
50.
Right? Is it 50? I don't.
Your leads get shut off for a month.
I want first off, I want 0 past dues.
I
Right?
want that.
So there should, in my opinion, there should be no past dues ever. Right? It's not that hard for follow-ups. Let's be real.
No, if you're out showing houses or something like that on a
Then send a
particular
text
day,
message.
I agree.
Send a text message,
I agree.
and
I'm just
then
saying
kick your follow-up to the next day.
we have it where if it's 50 or more, your leads get shut off.
Yeah. So we are in the process of building that out, but that's all through leverage, by the way. Right? She's going through that right now. She's coming up with a plan that actually you and I will mastermind about. You and I coach each other on, because I think there's too many campaigns to choose from a smart drip campaign
There
system.
is no doubt there.
Right?
is.
I think
You
there
really
should be.
shouldn't have that many overdues if you choose your plans right.
Well, exactly. So I'm looking at this from it's kind of like going to Cheesecake Factory when you're starving.
And the menu's 45 pages long.
Yes, and you're like, this sounds
I don't
like,
think I'm going to eat.
yeah, just give me 5 options, right? Give me 5 options,
Yeah,
and that's what we want to have, 5 options to choose from,
just knock down.
right?
Boom.
But who's
I'll show
doing
you
that?
our plans. We are, dude. Everything's got an A in front of it, so it alphabetizes it. So when you try to apply a plan, you get probably Jesse, 9 plans that have A's in front of them. Those are our top knockdown plans. If you don't want any overdues, apply one of those plans. Do with testers.
Well, here's the thing, though. I have Bella now in charge of that,
Sure.
and coming to me. Here's she presented a problem. She's coming to me with the solution. So sphererocketva.com.
That's how we
Leverage that out.
Yeah.
That should not be 100% on your plate, right? Christina said she would never eat anything from Cheesecake Factory.
Well, there's goes our endorsement from them, Christina.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You
people
just
we were
cost
in
us
negotiations with.
millions of
Here's the
dollars.
thing. If you disagree with Christina and you follow her on YouTube, you can come follow our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
And I know Matt, especially Matt, probably loves the Cheesecake Factory.
I do. It's my favorite place to go.
it's just overwhelming. Are you coming to Truck Yard tonight?
Am I invited?
Your wife's sponsoring it.
I didn't know I could show up to that.
Hey, you know what? Let's go right now. Jesse, take us out.
He's not Derek just yet.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. And then go to that one. Thanks.
because I'm